with the T.I. situation. If he did that, you're a rat too. I don't spare no mother about it. Because if you doing anything wrong, you doing anything criminal-wise, and you cooperate with law enforcement to get you out of trouble, that means you're cooperating. That means you're a rat. But I'm going to tell you like this. When I saw that, I think T.I. lying.
If you've ever seen the rest of the interview, Boosie Badazz gets a little too aggressive when talking about T.I. Turns out he's not the only one who thinks the Atlantan rapper is a rat and a snitch. But this is only one out of the many reasons why rappers in the hip-hop community and fans don't like Tip anymore. Being a snitch is more than enough to lose all respect. Take a look at Tekashi 6ix9ine. Ever since he was outed as a rat, no one bothers collaborating with him on new music anymore. That's because when a rapper is revealed to be a snitch, it means they talk to the police to get out of trouble. If it's one thing that hip-hop has taught anyone, it's to never talk to the feds. Clifford Joseph Harris Jr., also known as T.I., is many things. A father, a husband, a 3-time Grammy Award winner, a major influence on the 2000s era of rap, and on top of all that, a snitch with some of the most controversial opinions ever. T.I. has tried his best denying these accusations, but this was just the tip of the iceberg of controversies. But let's begin with what his beef with Boosie was all about. It all started in March 2020, when Boosie made a few comments on Dwayne Wade's transgender daughter. The point guard shared how he and his wife supported his daughter's decision, but Boosie had his own opinion to share.
I gotta say something about this shit, bro. Dwayne Wade, you gone too far, dog. That is a male. A 12-year-old. At 12, they don't even know what their next meal gonna be. They don't have figured out yet. He might meet a woman, anything at 16 and fall in love with her. But his dick be gone. How you gonna, like, bro, you going too far, dog. Don't cut his dick off, bro.
Boosie got a lot of hate for saying all of this about a 12-year-old, but there were some people who supported his comments. T.I. wasn't one of them and called him out for being a transphobe. Boosie simply told him to mind his own business and stop worrying about other people's children. This then brought attention to something T.I. did in 2000. He and his cousin Toot were running a hustle back in Atlanta before his rap career took off. They made quick money by stealing a bunch of clothes to sell for more profit. One day, things went south, and he and his cousin were pulled over by the police only to find a gun in Tip's possession. But Toot ended up getting during their trial, which gave T.I. a sick idea, thinking no one would catch him. With his cousin's posthumous blessing, Tip said that the gun belonged to his cousin and avoided incarceration.
We caught no gun case, Toot died, and, my lawyer said, well, I could make everything go away if it was Toot, if it was Tremell's. And I had a talk with Toot.
And what Toot said?
Posthumously?
Yeah. After he had passed, I had a talk with him.
And what Toot say?
Toot said, I take all the charges you got. If you could walk away free and put it on me, goddamn right. Because I'd be damned if they gonna come and extradite me from here.
But T.I. would find himself behind bars a lot more times after that. Some of them involved more gun charges along with a couple of arrests too. In one of his run-ins with federal law, a lot of rappers accused him of snitching just to get out of trouble. This was popular throughout the hip-hop scene because word got around pretty fast. Whether it was Boosie or 50 Cent, T.I. was being called a snitch. Keep in mind that this word is the worst insult anyone could ever receive in the hip-hop community. Him being called a snitch sparked something huge in the music industry. People were making fun of him left and right, and T.I. had no other option but to post pictures of court documents proving his innocence. The timing of all of this was pretty wild too, because T.I. and Boosie were actually planning to release a joint project, but Boosie wasn't going to collaborate with a snitch because the way he talked about the situation in interviews showed everyone that he was not okay with letting this stuff slide.
I think he went up there and just got the talking. You think something happened at 18 years old, right? You gonna hold how vocal he is. I've been around this. You gonna hold that in all them damn time? All this damn time for 20-something years, you gonna hold that in? And it finally came out?
Boosie was just mad at the fact that Tip would confess to something like this after all these years in a very offensive way. During T.I.'s interview, he talked about his late cousin as if it was all a big joke to him. Even 50 Cent asked how the federal guidelines allowed a man with around 10 machine guns is let go with 1 year of community service and 1 year of incarceration. Nothing really added up, and rappers from every corner accused T.I. of being a rat. 50 was talking about the incident in 2007 when the FBI arrested him after finding 12 machine guns in his possession. This was right before he was about to perform at the BET Hip Hop Awards in his hometown of Atlanta. Most rappers had to serve very long sentences for possessing a firearm, but Tip was off the hook quicker than a lot of people thought. On October 26, 2007, he strolled out of the district court after posting a $3 million bond. He was under house arrest for a while and could only leave if it was a medical emergency or a court appearance. The only people he was allowed to live with were his girlfriend and children. After his hearing on February 19, 2008, he pled guilty to all the U.S. federal weapons charges and was sentenced to an indefinite prison sentence. This was a year of house arrest and 1,500 hours of community service, something 50 Cent was not happy about. 50's own friends had to serve more years than he could count for carrying a handgun, yet someone like T.I. was in the comfort of his home for a year. It was obvious that Tip was making new enemies with all the legal trouble and blaming his 2000 arrest on his cousin. The 2007 incident just made it worse. Believe it or not, on March 27, 2008, T.I. was sentenced to just a year and 1 day in prison with a fine of less than $250,000. It wasn't like Tip wasn't a convicted felon, because he's been arrested a bunch of times already. Fans who supported rap culture refused to support someone who would cooperate with the police just to save himself from jail time. 50 even snuck in a diss on You So Tough on G-Unit's second album called TOS Terminate on Sight, where he talked about the 12-month sentencing. It didn't take a rocket scientist to put the pieces in together and realize 50 was talking about T.I. When asked about the verse on MTV, Fifth played it cool and said that not all disses had to be direct, because some of them can be completely subtle for the fans to speculate on.
Like if I had an issue, when have you known me to be indirect with an issue?
Oh, you're pretty direct.
Right, so if I had a problem with any artist, trust me, they would know. You see what I'm saying? When I take it and I write that, it's because a lot of people think that. And they're not saying it because they're cowardly people.
The line on You So Tough mentions 50 having the best lawyers that money could buy, yet still see 10 to 9 years for carrying a dozen machine guns. T.I. didn't think too much of that interview because he was already under a lot of pressure from the police. Just because he allegedly cooperated with the feds doesn't mean he's completely off the hook. He is a convicted felon after all. Their beef escalated when T.I. hopped on Instagram Live and wished 50 a happy birthday with a special proposition. Little did he know, this was about to turn everything around on him, because if there's one thing a rapper shouldn't do, it's to mess with 50 Cent.
I heard it's 50 Cent birthday. Well, happy birthday, 50. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you for, you know what I'm saying, staying down, remaining healthy, alive and free for so long, man. But for your birthday, I offer you a challenge, sir. Pull your up, man, with 20 of your records, man. Sit across from me, man, and get this work, man. You know what I'm saying? But I understand if you don't want to answer to that challenge, because last time you got challenged, Kanye West dusted your ass off. So, you might not want to do that. So, well, guess who ain't scared of your ass, 50?
Tip wanted to challenge Fifth in a versus battle to see who the real king of the South was. This was in 2020, many years after their initial beef on the G-Unit track. The two actually worked on some projects together in between, but for some reason, T.I. wanted to reignite the flame and settle the score with Fifth. He then posted another video while on the phone with Kevin Hart, who shares the same birthday as 50. In the video, he told Kevin to tell 50 to get this smoke because he was hungry for war. Many know 50 as the internet troll of the hip-hop community. This meant that he didn't think much of T.I.'s open challenge and actually threw shade at the rapper, claiming he smoked some bad weed on a Friday. Not Tip considered this an acknowledgement and pushed for the battle even further. At this point, he was painting the narrative in a way that suggested 50 was afraid of him. He was even offered to fly 50 out to make it easier for him. But the G-Unit rapper had just about enough of all the jabs and disses and decided to make things personal. One bright morning, 50 uploaded a very old video of T.I. on a show called Crime Stoppers. Tip had a message for the public that everyone found hilarious because of the circumstances he was in back in the day.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? Some people call me Tip, but this is about another kind of tip that can help our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, and our fathers help get the perpetrators who commit crimes against them off the streets. All you gotta do is call Crime Stoppers Atlanta. Tips can be anonymous, and there's even a reward.
Looking back, T.I. was practically promoting snitching on this commercial, and 50 thought it was the perfect material to shut the Atlantan rapper up. As angry as T.I. was, he considered this as 50 accepting his challenge for the versus battle. He swore to finally shut 50's, quote, watermelon head, invisible neck up once and for all. He also defended himself for doing the commercial, saying it was a very old video and doesn't promote any sort of snitching or putting a brother in trouble just to get anybody out for any crime that they committed. The strangest part in all of this was that there was still no concrete evidence to prove T.I. was a snitch. There was no interrogation footage or official reports from law enforcement. Looking at his career, there was evidence of T.I. being against snitches. He kicked Alpha Mega out of his record label Grand Hustle after he found out he worked with the DEA. Tip collaborated with him on the 2007 single Hurt, along with Busta Rhymes. It only took 2 years after that for Alpha to be outed as a rat. This was because he was sentenced to 110 months in prison over a federal gun charge back in September 1995.
Yeah, well, you know what, man? I can't afford to really be associated with that. Right. That ain't in my best interest. Right. Either way it go, you know, it's kind of like they only thought about themselves. Never mind how it affects you. Never mind how it can fall back on you. It's all about me. So if that's the take on it, I have no choice but to separate myself, you know, just due to what's best for me and mine.
T.I. said that the people at Grand Hustle don't support anyone who blames their own mistakes on others. When the stories all piled up together, including the one of him talking about his late cousin, everyone found this to be very hypocritical. But this wasn't the last time T.I. would be on the news. It wasn't for his new music, that's for sure. Instead, things got heated when his wife Tamika Tiny Harris became involved. T.I. was accused of holding a woman at gunpoint in front of her kids. Sabrina Peterson was an entrepreneur and a close friend of the couple's, but all that changed on January 25th, 2021. She got into an altercation with one of Tip's assistants, leading to a domino effect that changed T.I.'s life. Apparently, this assistant treated Tiny like a slave, even if Sabrina was trying to protect Tamika. She wasted no time defending her husband, who she thought was being wrongfully accused of something he never did. She uploaded a photo of T.I. with Sabrina's son and captioned it, "He was just uncle 2 years ago. Now when did you say my husband assaulted you?" She wanted to make sure Sabrina would stop bothering her family, but it only led to her posting more evidence. 2 days after Tiny's Instagram post, Peterson started posting screenshots on her own profile. Over a dozen mistreatment victims came forward with their stories against T.I. and his wife. Some of them even claimed they lost consciousness after putting through with what the couple made them do. This brought a lot of attention to T.I., more than any of his recently released music did in the past decade. Tip was at his prime in the 2000s and almost forgotten in the 2010s. With a couple of hits, his music fell short of his fan base's liking. He can probably thank Boosie and 50 for the major loss of loyal fans over the years. But these very serious allegations would triple the damage those two rappers did on his entire career. The couple did their best to publicly deny all these allegations. T.I. even uploaded an 8-minute-long video on his Instagram addressing the situation and how far it's gotten out of hand.
You see, if a person does not have any right to criminally or civilly have you in court, they have no right. The best thing they could do is get you for a defamation suit. You in court, make you pay their legal bills, but get you in court.
He followed the video by saying that women who have fallen victim to cases like the one he's being accused of deserve to be heard. They should be protected, supported, and uplifted, especially if they're black women. T.I. also protected Tiny for being the kind-hearted wife and loving mother she was to their children. He didn't call Sabrina out by name, but what he did say was how it's unfair for everyone to base their opinions on him and his wife when everything has been completely baseless with zero proof whatsoever.
Whatever we ever have done has been done with consensual adults who into what we into and like what we like. If we want something, we know exactly where to go to get it. We ain't never forced nobody. We ain't never drugged nobody against their will. We ain't never held nobody against their will. We ain't never made nobody do anything. We ain't never trafficked anything.
Now, at the time, T.I. had a reality TV show on MTV called T.I. and Tiny, Friends and Family. On February 5th, 2021, they were forced to pause production on the show because of how serious the nature of these allegations were. 2 weeks later, Peterson's lawyer sent letters to law enforcement in Georgia and California, requesting them to investigate T.I. and his family. 11 new women came forward with their allegations. Usually when a rapper is accused of something so serious by just one person, a case of defamation is something that's very manageable. There have been many cases of false accusations, but just as many cases of rappers ending up guilty of what they're accused of. In this situation, There were one too many women alleging that T.I. and his wife mistreated them. People all over the world were watching as the news unfolded, and the resentment toward the artist grew stronger and stronger. One of them said that she was a 17-year-old intern back then. She was looking forward to building her career, but little did she know that what would happen at T.I. and Tiny's studio would leave her traumatized forever. Her letters claimed that she passed out one day and woke up sore all over her body. Tiny's associate even handed her a morning after pill. Investigators were noticing a pattern of mistreatment and use in all the letters. The news spread like wildfire, and there was not a day of peace for the couple. T.I. and Tiny thought that they could get a breather for once if they attended a comedy night. Tip was being a heckler and telling the comedian to take her wig off, to which she said she would as soon as he addressed those allegations. The rapper did not like that one bit and decided to steal the spotlight and ruin everyone's night. There were still very few people and longtime loyal fans who supported the rapper throughout all of this. These were the same people who kept on bullying and bothering Sabrina throughout the beginning of 2021. T.I. and Tiny also tried their best to cover up the story by paying publicists and changing the narrative of the whole story. Peterson wasn't going to put up with any of that any longer. So, on March 1st, 2021, she sued the couple for defamation. Throughout a couple of weeks in the month of May, the LAPD kept finding more and more stories and accounts from victims all over town. It wasn't until 18 May when the Las Vegas Police Department decided to close the case altogether. According to the laws in the state, the incident happened way too long ago for it to be within the limitations of violence and mistreatment. On June 8th, T.I. released What It's Come To, in which he calls all the women coming forward liars. He even played a voice note of Sabrina saying she dropped the defamation suit if the truth was out there. No one really knows what truth she was talking about, but the way the case was turning out wasn't in her favor, especially if these claims were false. By September 2023, Los Angeles prosecutors announced that neither Tiny nor T.I. would be charged after their investigation. This was because it all centered around something that happened in 2005 outside of California's limitations on mistreatment. In the following month, Peterson was fined a little less than $100,000 to cover T.I. and Tiny's legal fees. The couple's motion got 5 out of 7 of Peterson's claims dismissed. They thought that they were finally off the hook and could get their lives back to normal. But in early January 2024, another woman comes forward to give her story from the incident in 2005. She met the couple at a nightclub and accused them of her and taking advantage while she was unconscious. Law enforcement reopened the case, which wasn't looking too good on T.I. and Tiny's side. They wrote a statement, and you can tell how angry they are that they have to deal with the same thing again. They said, "For 3 years, we have maintained our innocence and refused to pay these extortionate demands for things we didn't do. For 3 years, we've maintained the same position, while the claims in this story have changed time and time again. Our position is clear. We are innocent of these fake claims. We will not be shaken down, and we look forward to our day in court." This case was filed under California's Mistreatment and Cover-Up Accountability Act. This gave victims 4 years up until 2026 to bring up any cases that would otherwise be dropped, as are the statute of limitations. The whole situation left everyone in the rap community leaving T.I. and his wife alone. There has been very little support from other rappers, unlike how Tip used to cover for other artists accused of the same thing. An example of this is the time he covered for Nelly and even uploaded a video talking about it. He posted a video while getting a haircut, and ironically, this was uploaded before the allegations against him and his wife.
I'm just sitting here thinking, after Mike Tyson, after Tupac, after all the other motherfuckers who done been with girls and the girls got mad for whatever reason and left off and said that they raped them or whatnot. What the ever happened when a motherfucker find out that the was lying, man? What consequences is there for this young lady?
It was very obvious that T.I. would always pull out the false accusations card in these serious situations. This was, and always has been, something fans and the internet hate because of the statistics that say otherwise. Many people would rather support someone who falsely accused a man of violence than support someone who could have possibly committed the act. T.I. and his wife's image to the public has forever been changed, and it would take a lot for them to get back to the position they were back in the early 2000s. Today, he's more of a family man, focusing on his relationship with his kids. His daughter, Eris Harris, has shown a lot of interest in performing, so the couple decided to go forward with their kid's passion. But even if his family life looks wholesome on the surface, the internet will forever remember the dark secrets and dozens of accusations that the adults of that household had to face. If you enjoyed this video, click on the ones showing on your screen now to watch similar content.